they try that, but I couldn't post myself. I couldn't do things like of myself for a lot of the time. Like if I went out and bought a car and my camera crew wasn't with me, and so I took my camera phone and whatever, and I wanted to post about it.
What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about Fast and Loud was completely wrong? The multi-million-dollar empire, the dramatic exits, the behind-the-scenes feuds, none of it happened the way you saw on TV. I've uncovered shocking secrets that the cast themselves revealed, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at Richard Rawlings or Gas Monkey Garage the same way again. For 8 years, millions of viewers watched Fast and Loud religiously, thinking they were getting an authentic look inside Gas Monkey Garage. But what if the biggest story wasn't the cars they built it? Was the empire that was crumbling behind the cameras? Today, I'm revealing the hidden truths that cast members have finally started talking about. We'll uncover Richard Rawlings' shocking business failures that cost him millions, the real reason Aaron Kaufman fled the show, and the staged moments that fooled even the most dedicated fans. Plus, I'll share exclusive details about the legal battles and personal dramas that nearly destroyed everything Richard built. If you've ever wondered what really happened when those cameras stopped rolling, you're about to find out. Let me start with something that will blow your mind about Richard Rawlings. Before he became the loud, brash car dealer we all knew, he was actually a cop, a firefighter, and an EMT, all before turning 21. But here's the kicker that most fans never figured out. His entire TV persona was carefully crafted to hide some massive business failures. Richard's journey started when he was just 14 years old, buying his first car, a green 1974 Mercury Comet, before he could even legally drive. By high school graduation, he'd already flipped 20 cars. This wasn't just a hobby. It was the foundation of a business empire that would eventually make him millions and then nearly cost him everything. But here's where the story gets interesting. In 1999, Richard started Lincoln Press, a printing and advertising company. He sold it in 2004 for what he claimed was enough money to fund Gas Monkey Garage. What the show never told you was that this sale was actually forced. The company was struggling, and Richard needed cash fast to avoid bankruptcy. Now, about that famous Cannonball Run record from 2007. Richard and Dennis Collins claimed they broke the 1979 record, driving from New York to Los Angeles in 21 hours and 59 minutes. Sounds impressive, right? Here's what they didn't want you to know. Automotive experts have questioned this record for years. The routes didn't match, the starting points were different, and the math simply doesn't add up. Even the original record holders have publicly stated that Richard's run shouldn't count. This means one of his biggest bragging rights might be completely fabricated. While Fast and Loud was making Richard famous, his business empire was quietly falling apart. The Gas Monkey Bar and Grill seemed like a natural extension of his brand, but it became his biggest nightmare. In 2019, Richard discovered that the bar was using his name to promote whiskey partnerships without his permission. But that wasn't the worst part. He alleged that the bar stopped paying him licensing fees, essentially getting a free ride off his fame.
The real reason we brought you here, because we knew kind of what we were going to do anyway, so I wasn't going to ask permission because, damn it, I'm like 55 now.
Well, he got nothing. The situation became so toxic that Richard sued for $1 million, claiming that bar was hosting inappropriate events that damaged his family-friendly brand. Here's the shocking part that never made it to the show. The legal battle revealed that Richard had lost control of his own brand name in certain contexts. The settlement details were sealed, but industry insiders suggest Richard had to pay significant legal fees and lost substantial licensing revenue. By 2021, the bar had completely removed all Gas Monkey branding and reopened as Amplified. This wasn't Richard's only business failure. Gas Monkey Live, his music venue, quietly closed in 2020 after years of financial struggles. His energy drink brand, Gas Monkey Energy, which he claimed would be sold on military bases worldwide, disappeared from most markets by 2020. The pattern was clear. Richard could build a TV show, but sustaining real businesses was proving nearly impossible. Now let's talk about Aaron Kaufman, because his departure reveals the most disturbing truth about Fast and Loud. Aaron wasn't just the bearded mechanic, he was the creative genius who made the show work. And his exit wasn't as amicable as Richard claimed. For 14 years, Aaron was the heart of Gas Monkey Garage, but behind the scenes, he was working 10-hour weeks, building Tulali cars in just 24 weeks. The pressure was crushing him. Aaron later revealed that he wanted to build complex, meaningful projects like the EcoBoost did Amasa Pantera, but the show demanded quick, cheap builds that could be finished in days, not months. Here's what Aaron never said on camera, but revealed in later interviews. Richard was treating him more like an employee than a partner, despite Aaron's contributions being essential to the show's success. Aaron felt creatively stifled and financially undervalued. When he asked for more creative control, and a larger share of the profits, Richard reportedly refused. The breaking point came when Aaron realized he was becoming a TV producer rather than a mechanic. He described the pressure as absolutely crushing, affecting his relationships with his girlfriend, his dogs, and his employees. Aaron made a choice that shocked everyone. He walked away from millions of dollars to preserve his artistic integrity. After leaving, Aaron started ArcLight Fabrication, focusing on Ford F-100 parts. He got his own Discovery shows, shifting gears with Aaron Kaufman. Aaron needs a job, proving he was still valuable to the network. But here's the detail that reveals everything. Aaron's new shows consistently received better critical reviews than Fast and Loud's later seasons, suggesting that Aaron, not Richard, was the real talent behind the original show's success. While Richard and Aaron grabbed headlines, the real backbone of Gas Monkey Garage was Christy Brimberry. She was the office manager who could actually keep Richard in line, no small feat. But Christy's story reveals something profound about the show's priorities. In October 2016, Christy was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. She underwent surgery that damaged her voice box, leaving her unable to speak for months. She needed radiation and chemotherapy. This was a life-or-death battle happening while Fast and Loud continued filming. Here's what's shocking. The show barely mentioned Christy's cancer battle. A woman who had been essential to Gas Monkey's success for years was fighting for her life, and it was treated as a minor subplot. Christy later said, "I don't need to be on TV every week to prove I have value." This statement reveals how the show prioritized drama over the real human stories happening within the garage. By December 2017, Christy was cancer-free, but her experience highlighted how Fast and Loud treated its supporting cast as expendable. Today, she's thriving with her husband Darren and their 6 children, but her story shows the human cost of reality TV success. Now here's where everything you thought you knew about Fast and Loud falls apart. Despite claims of authenticity, the show was heavily manipulated in ways that would shock most fans. Those random clients who walked into Gas Monkey Garage, most were arranged by producers weeks in advance. The Hot Wheels car project that seemed spontaneous was actually planned for the company's Red Line party. The timeline compressions were even more dramatic than you'd expect. That Bonnie and Clyde car that was supposedly restored in 9 days. In reality, such a project would take a skilled shop up to a year. But here's the most revealing example: the Shark Cat Dodge Dart. The show made it seem like minor speed issues were quickly resolved. The truth: the team had to build multiple transmissions and torque converters from scratch. The car had major computer problems requiring complete dismantling, modification, and new code writing. This wasn't a quick fix, it was weeks of complex engineering work compressed into a few minutes of TV time. The show's editing made 120-hour builds look like afternoon projects.
Everybody hold on to your hat out there. Fast and Loud is no more.
Every crisis was manufactured, every deadline was artificial, and every success was predetermined. Fast and Loud wasn't documenting reality, it was creating a fantasy version of automotive restoration. Richard's conflicts weren't limited to his own garage. His feud with Jesse James, star of Monster Garage, became legendary in automotive circles. The rivalry escalated to the point where Jesse had a dump truck full of horse manure delivered to Gas Monkey's driveway. This wasn't TV drama. This was real animosity between two massive egos. But the most revealing conflict was with his own former employees. Tom Smith and Jordan Butler left Gas Monkey after Richard allegedly used profanity to tell a fan with cystic fibrosis to get away from his Rolls-Royce. This incident led to their firing. But here's the twist that proves how manipulated everything was. Richard then produced their competing show, Misfit Garage. Think about that for a moment. Richard fired employees for disagreeing with his treatment of a disabled fan, then profited from their competing show. The entire rivalry between Gas Monkey and Fired Up Garage was a manufactured storyline designed to create more content for Discovery Channel. Even the conflicts were fake. Fast and Loud ended in December 2020, but not because of ratings. The show was still popular worldwide after 16 seasons and 55 episodes. The real reason reveals everything about Richard's priorities. He couldn't control the social media rights. Discovery owned all media rights to Fast and Loud, which meant Richard couldn't fully monetize the Gas Monkey brand online. As social media became more valuable than traditional TV, Richard realized he was giving away millions in potential revenue. The dispute over digital rights ultimately killed the show. This wasn't about creative differences or natural endings, it was about money and control. Richard chose potential online profits over a guaranteed TV income, a decision that reveals his true priorities. So there you have it. The real story behind Fast and Loud that most fans never figured out. Richard Rawlings wasn't just a successful car dealer. He was a businessman whose empire was constantly on the verge of collapse. Aaron Kaufman wasn't just a talented mechanic. He was the creative genius who walked away from millions to preserve his integrity. And Fast and Loud wasn't just a reality show. It was a carefully manufactured fantasy that prioritized drama over truth. The cast members who've spoken out have revealed a world of staged moments, financial struggles, and personal battles that the cameras never captured. From Richard's questionable business practices, to Aaron's creative frustrations, from Christy's cancer battle, to the manufactured feuds, the real story is far more complex and human than anything we saw on TV. What shocked you most about these Fast and Loud revelations? Did you suspect the show was more staged than it appeared? Or were you completely fooled like most fans? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your perspectives on these behind-the-scenes stories.